on working through the lockdown. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad University of Technology, West Bengal has been organizing a series of webinars ever since the lockdown was put in place with the view to disseminate knowledge, to keep people updated, and to involve all the stakeholders in the promotion of academic and other activities. So we are extremely proud that we are holding today's webinar in association with Calcutta Management Association on working through the lockdown. And we are privileged to have with us our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Saikat, who has taken the leading role in planning these webinars and in implementing them in different areas of activity. There has been a wide range of areas in which such webinars have already been held. We are grateful to the Calcutta Management Association for partnering with our university in hosting this webinar. We are extremely privileged to have with us today three eminent persons, distinguished people from the industry who will be sharing their experience and knowledge about the topic working through the lockdown. We have with us Mr. Shenoy of Tata Steel, Mr. Sunil Kajaria of Keventer, and Mr. Anirban Banerjee of Tanishq. We also hope that Mr. Amitabh Datta, President of Calcutta Management Association, will join us later in this webinar. Good evening to all the participants who have gathered here to participate in this webinar. We hope that it will be a pleasant evening for all of you. So I will not waste much time. Much has been written and deliberated on living through this and working through this lockdown, how to make it sustainable, what companies are doing, how the education system may be reconfigured, what is the effect on psyche, on social structure, economic structure, a lot of these things. But it is left to the honorable panelists to give their views on this matter. So without wasting any time, I would request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Saikat, an acclaimed academician, a seasoned administrator, a visionary leader under whose dynamic leadership our university has broken out from the traditional academic mold and has taken on itself a multitude of activities with a view towards societal fulfillment and upliftment. Sir, I now offer the floor to Professor Maitra to start today's panel discussion. Sir. Sir, you are muted.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
please.
thank you.
Please,
thank you.
Please, sir. Please.
Thank you for this introduction. And it's always fascinating to see that you are all engaged in organizing these types of webinars for connecting different resource persons from different corners and different dimensions with our participants, participants from this university and participants from the community as well. Now, I'm very happy that the Calcutta Management Association has become a partner for today's very relevant and very apt this webinar topic, that is working in this lockdown. And that's really a concern, a genuine issue for all of us. Because today only, I read in newspaper the concern of WHO that this situation may continue not for years but for decades, and that is a matter of real worry for us, for all of us. How to cope up with this situation? How to make everything this running, particularly the economy, particularly our this aspiration level of our next generation, this students and this young India. They are our so far we were claiming that they are our greatest assets in the entire world. This is our demographic dividend, our young population. How to engage these people in different types of works while confined at home, and there has been a, this certain this particular aspects in the society which are observing, that means that is restriction in mobility, and then um, abolition of certain types of activities, and then rearrangement or restructuring of this inter-country relationship in the context of the world politics. So if I look at all these things, then one is quite evident to all of us that at this context and at this juncture, our young people, the work, this potential working force, they need to be empowered with certain skills, and there are certain opportunities that are emerging, and that needs to be capitalized. So let me discuss this, how this can be done uh, from a stage where we have a limited mobility. We can only have this internet connectivity, and maybe this we can plan something to work from this home. And at this moment, there are the primary thing is these young people, they needs to be skilled in the digital domain, how to manage these digital tools, techniques in a proper perspective, in a proper this way. So these different digital skill, particularly artificial intelligence, digital marketing, mobile, then retail, social media, analytics, web analytics. So these are going to be very important in the present context. So this needs to be our young generation, they needs to make themselves more skilled in these areas. Now, besides this, there are certain other things. Cloud computing or cloud is going to be very vital for our different activities, particularly small business. So cloud computing, because it is there are several advantages of cloud computing and Industry 4.0. What we were talking about for the last few years, that as it was moving the entire industrial scenario, most of the things will be based on these clouds. And then this mastery of this cloud computing, understanding all these things from this cloud computing, advantage of cloud computing, that will be very, very essential and crucial, because this access of data from an application from anywhere, anytime, on any mobile device at reasonable price, these are very distinct advantages of cloud computing for small business, particularly for small business, using this cloud for making this business more viable, formidable, and feasible from their homes, particularly. Taking this advantage of cloud computing may make the matter very easy and comfortable. Particularly, if we look at one of these research conducted by Gartner, up to 60% of business that will be relying cloud for hosting data by 2022, and that was that data published in 2018. And for small business, there are these cloud applications. These are browser-based, accessible from desktop, then mobile devices, and there are small vendors like Facebook, Zoho, Freelancer, then sole proprietorships. They provide these small clouds for invoicing, expense tracking, simple reporting. So these are creating enough opportunities for small business people for managing their own business. So there are different types of applications like accounting data, is sending invoices, tracking expenses while on the go. There are accounting software vendors like YNAB, Quicken, that offer better incentives and upgrades with the cloud products than traditional bookkeeping services. And these potential advantages that save time as well as money. And while we are confined at our home, or while we are our movement is restricted, so we can take the advantage of this cloud software, cloud computing facility in saving our money, saving and improving our efficiency, uh, saving in the in deployment of staffs and all these things that can be done in a nice way. So this is one of the things where we need a lot of mastery and a lot of skill development in handling these cloud server applications. There will be hardware space saving business. This we did not require this huge office infrastructure, manpower, and all these things. If the business can be done at cloud, and only this connectivity and all these platforms required. So this is advantage. This is the biggest advantage of this cloud computing in handling small business while sitting at home without much heavy infrastructure, without heavy investment. There are multi applications. There are many lots of applications consideration. Then there are this needs to be uh, practiced. This skill needs to be acquired, particularly this Google Apps for Business. There are many things. There are many applications are there for cloud. Microsoft packages there, Google packages there. So these packages, now this is the right time to go through all these things, to look at the benefits of all these things, to understand these technical features of all these things, and how to make this more useful for our purpose. So this is one of the interesting thing. Second is, if we look at this our business, there are different opportunities are arising in different formats, particularly in agile business. Now, what is going to happen in near future? More individual skill dependent business that is going to emerge, and there enough opportunity are being developed for our young people, because organizations, they may not have the capacity to give employment to a large number of people, but at the same time, our young people individually, they can make them potentially more, economically more, powerful for taking care of their own livelihood and for their own career. So some of the interesting career opportunities which are emerging, one is freelancing. Freelancing is always this is a popular way for earning money online. Internet can be used for that purpose. Several websites are available for offering freelance tasks for people with varieties of skills that freelancing services can be applied. And the only thing is you need to create an account. We have to browse through listing and we have to apply for the task which suit us. So some websites are available. They may require for creation a personal listing with the details of our skill set. So interested clients can contact us directly. There are many, some of the websites are like this, Outfiverr.com, Upwork.com, Freelancer.com, Workandhard.com. These websites are always there that provide freelance jobs. So these will be very useful for applying our talent and skill for this economic propositions. And second is, the thing is, all the payment and all these things, this is very important for all this online transaction. We need to be very careful in diverging our account until and unless we are not absolutely sure of our client and all these things. This needs to be handled very carefully because of this context of the cyber frauds and all these things which are happening. But there are enough, these measurements which can be taken for making all these things safe and secure for doing all these types of business. And second is that we can start our own young this generation, our young youth. They can start their own websites. There is enough material available online that can help us for putting all these things for creating our own websites. Then this choosing the domain layout, overall design of the website. Once this website is ready, then that can be used for servicing the visitors with the relevant content. That Google AdSense is there. Then this can appear at our websites, and the visitors who can visit this website, they can help for making money. More traffic we get at our website, more will be the potential for higher earning. And the concept is coming here, affiliate marketing. Once this website is up and running, So that can be opted for affiliate marketing by allowing different organizations and companies to insert web link onto the websites, which is called symbiotic partnership. So when the visitors they visit these sites to buy products or services and clicking on such links, then we earn out from it. The secondary method of earning is always there from this symbiotic partnership. So this is one of the interesting career option which is emerging, and a large number of these people, they can engage themselves in these types of activities. There is another option which is surveys, reviews, and searches or researches. So many websites are available. They offer money to undergo for taking up online survey, carrying out online search, and write reviews on the products. For this to get the credit, so we need to disclose certain information to them, including banking details. But here also we need to be very much careful regarding this divulging of all sorts of information so that it is not misused. So this is the thing. But once we are sure of all these clients and all these things, you can always go for this writing report, making this online survey, or making the searches and all these things. And from that, we can have the chance of earning a significant earning. There are this earning based on per hour charge. So that is one of the good options. Virtual assistantship is emerging as a very good career option. Many of the corporate staffs, they work from their home. We call it virtual assistant service, and this virtual assistance is basically remote work for the clients, and that manage the different aspects of the business, which these people, they do not, they're too busy to handle for themselves. So when we work as virtual assistant, we can choose to work as an employee, or we can set up our own business to serve the clients. So these are skilled home-based professionals that offer companies, business, entrepreneurs administrative support, and this work include phone calls, email correspondence, internet search, data entry, scheduling appointment, editing, writing, bookkeeping, marketing, blog management, proofreading, then project management, graphic design, tech support, customer service, event planning, social media management. So lots of services can be offered to these virtual assistants. That requires some degree and training briefing, but these types of training is always available at net. Lots of these training programs are available. Depending on our previous qualification, we can have these types of training program from these digital platforms. But another advantage, if we have good communication skills and capable of using this application like MS Office, then we can sign up sites like there are elance.com, 24/7 virtual assistant match, help, freelancer, flex jobs, people per hour. There are many Upwork, then virtual staff finder, worldwide 101. There are large numbers of the virtual assistant service systems is there. So these virtual assistants, they can experience a significant earning based on their this engagement on per hour basis. Another career option is there where we can engage ourselves. This is language translating. So if we know a language other than English, that can help us earning some extra money. So there are several websites that offer these translation projects that are translating from our one language into another language, Spanish, French, Arab, German, any language. There's from two or from Chinese, from English, and from these languages we can make the task the time consuming, because this is a time consuming. Therefore, this requires a lots of time. So all these are many people, they hire translators online. So from anywhere across the globe. So there are several websites available for availing these types of opportunities to apply as a translator. Freelancer.in, then workandhire.com, upwork.com. This provides a platform to be a professional translator. And then those who do not have the knowledge or the time to complete their projects on their own, so they put up their work on these platforms. We can register and start bidding on translation jobs, and can get paid in the range of this few dollars per word, a few rupee per word, and then it can go. This rate can go significantly higher if our quality is good. Online tutoring is another career option, very good career option. If we are expert in a particular subject, we can earn tutoring people online. Then online tutoring provides this is a mean for connecting online with students of all ages across the country, and they provide homework, help, and tutoring in the subjects for which we have demonstrated expertise. I have seen many teachers and many these techies, they are earning from this online tutoring, and that can be a good career option. Only there are many websites available: Vedanto.com, myprivatetutor.com, bharattutor.com, tutorindia.net. So these here only things we have to create our profile where in which area and which subjects we can offer for teaching, how much experience we are having, basic qualification, all these things. This data needs to be uploaded, and from there, they make this connection with the client, and then of course this is a very good options for earning some extra money. And this if this can be matured, or if this can be done in a wider scale, then it is a very this formidable options of this earning significant money in either per hour or per month basis. So this is one good options. Social media management, that is also very good career option, because in addition to interacting with our friends and strangers, social network platform like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchats, that can also be used for making money. Companies and popular brands, they pay the social media strategists for further boosting and popularizing their products, so products and brands. So lots of competition around, and this constantly shortening attention of online viewers. Creativity is essential to create post videos, etc., for making it viral quickly, for enhancing the brand value. So this is very good career option. Only thing, we need to share posts regularly and interact with our followers on a regular basis. So every time we need to be glued to the internet for making this career viable. Web designing is also another good thing. If we have the right skill and talent, we can design a website for many people who are not that tech savvy, but they want to have the website of their own. Only those people who are conversant in designing all these websites, they can always help small business people to set up their own business websites and can earn from it. So coding and web designing are the essential ingredient in setting the website. So websites need maintenance and require frequent update. That is also a regular source of income. And this is also very good career option. Content writing is a very good career option, because online platforms that can be a good starting point. So depending on the quality of the articles, one get paid. So one may be asked to work upon articles with specific guidelines. So therefore, this is one of the area where our expertise can be used for this in this writing skill. Blogging is also very good career option. It starts with a hobby, interest, and passion, and it can be a very good career option for many bloggers. There are numbers of full-time bloggers, and there are two ways for starting. Either this blog, either we can create a blog through WordPress or Tumblr, or which requires absolute zero investment, or we can go for a self-hosted blog. So this is very good things, and if these things get attraction by the viewers, then definitely there will be these will be potential source for earning. And YouTube is also very good, these avenues for building our own career, because if you are not comfortable in writing some things with blogs and content writing, then you can use our camera, mobile camera or camera also for making video presentation. You can create a YouTube channel, upload videos, start this, and we can start monetizing them. So choose. So what it required, we need to choose a category of subjects. On that we want to make video, and then we get started on particular topic. And afterwards, and based on the number of viewers, we can start earning money. Everything from cooking, sewing, some debates, music programs, anything. There are many takers at YouTube. So only thing, so this YouTube channel needs to be created, which is similar for the creation of this blog, and then we have to make this channel popular, and as the number of subscriber goes, so earning potential also increases. And then a Kindle or ebook is also a very good career option for those who have a knack and passion in writing books. And then the self-published ebooks and paperbacks with Kindle direct publishing can be a very good this option for earning money, because it reaches millions of readers on Amazon. and publishing very few, small times, only maybe less than 5 minutes, and that book appears on Kindle at Kindle store worldwide within 24 to 48 hours. So one can earn up to 70% royalty on sales to customers in US, Canada, UK, Germany, India, France, and many other countries. And one can keep controls of one's rights and set their own list of prices, and can also make changes to one's book at any time. So there are book funds, publishing.com. These are the sites where we can publish our own book and earn our money. Another option is there, which is called paid-to-click service, or PTC sites. This is for these services, only by clicking at the advertisement, several websites offer money. If we know these things properly, one has to register itself before the project begins, and then afterwards, based on our clicking on the advertisement, we can earn from these sites. But here, one thing I am repeatedly telling, for divulging own personal information, including banking information, we do need to be very, very careful until unless we are not sure about the genuinity of the client at the other side. So peer-to-peer, or similar to which is the e-commerce websites, Amazon or OLX, a peer-to-peer platform is a marketplace for money lending activities. We can lend money to others in a more organized and structured manner in peer-to-peer lending platforms. And that platform has the recovery process also in place. And one should understand, because people using the service of the platform, all the features of the nitty-gritty, all the paraphernalia of all these things needs to be understood properly for using these platforms for making these activities to happen, because this is an unsecured loans and there is no face-to-face interaction. P2P lender needs to be aware of the risk involved, but this is emerging as a very good career option. Data entry is a very good career option, and there are still plenty of data entry jobs available in this country. It is one of the simplest jobs you can do online and requires no special teach, only computer, internet connection, fast typing skill, and ability to pay attention to details. That is required. So these are the things where this can be done on the digital platforms, using internet, computer, our technical skills, our digital skills, coding skills, our passion, our knack on all these things. But there are other forms of business, small business, because this is the time for home-based small business for different sector and different strata of the society. And many opportunities are coming where, this whatever will be produced at home, that can be, catered to the nearby market. And there are lots of opportunities are coming, and what I am foreseeing in near future, based on the local market requirement, emergence of different types of these small industries, home-based small industries, that will happen. And that will be from this bakery, baking soda, then wafer chip making, biscuit making, cookie and biscuit making. All this can be done from using our own kitchen. And there are lots of YouTube videos are available how we can make all these things with using our infrastructure which we are already having at our home, with very minimum small investment. And that has a significant market, because everything can be digitally displayed. Everything has a buyer for digital. Through digital marketing we can sell it, or physically we can sell it in the local market. So there are lots of things are happening, and this home-based entrepreneurships is going to be one of the formidable aspects of Indian economy in near future, because of this lots of changes which are happening in the international scenario, particularly the restriction of imports of materials, imports of raw materials, imports of finished products. So this is going to happen. And then there are lots of things which from right now we are dependent on other countries for all these imports, very small, tiny items, be it for consumption, be it for decoration, be it for other purposes, that can be easily made. And already I have seen huge numbers of YouTube videos and websites are coming up to guide people how to take up these types of activities. So this starts from this from bread making, bakery, candle making, candy making, cocoa processing, coconut oil, then herbal products, healthcare products, all these things. Because these products, this sanitizer making, then fumigant making, herbal-based cleaning agent making. So all these things are coming in a big way, and many of these young entrepreneurs, this is our experience that we have started, this our entrepreneurship cell recently, and what we are observing that many people are getting interested to start these types of business in these areas, particularly herbal soap, cleaning agents, sanitizers, and then different types of this systems which can kill the virus, and many these are all these are small scale items that can be done always at home, that doesn't require much space. Only the family members, they can be engaged for making these products, this food products, then healthcare products, cosmetics products, all these things, different crafts and the different handicrafts, all these things that will be coming more and more as the small startups, small entrepreneurships, home-based entrepreneurships. So this is going to be this scenario of this India Micro Forces. This is working at this time while confined at home. Two different distinct things. One is supported by technology, digital technology, and another is requirement of the this local market based on our own traditional skill, based on our natural products which are available in and around our home. These two categories, there will be the emergence of this this working culture, and more entrepreneurship will be developed, and this entrepreneurship mostly will be home based. So maybe this is a blessing in disguise for us, as we are suffering right now, but maybe out of this culture in near future we can have a more control over our this economic strength and economic stand in the in the context of the entire world. And I believe that with the innovative and inspiring minds and with the proper guidance and with all the digital resources, right, this is the time to empower ourselves from all sorts of knowledges available at digital resources, from YouTube's, from these different internet resources. Either we have to learn different skills from seeing the videos, or taking up certain online courses, taking up certain online training programs, which are very much affordable right now. And these can be utilized with the proper enterprising and entrepreneurial mindset for development of us, maybe in a collaborative manner or maybe in a home-based manner. But it has to be happened, and it has already started happening. So this is my idea for working in lockdown, and how to take the biggest advantage in this confined stage, in upgrading ourselves on a regular basis in our skill, in our knowledge, in our ideas, so that can be really translated into economic these propositions in near future. So I would like to thank Professor Anirban Mukherjee for allowing me to speak at the beginning, but I believe that other speakers, they will be presenting many more fascinating insights and features of this working in lockdown and their views on all these things. So with this, I would like to conclude. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for your extremely enlightening and varied deliberations. Our Vice Chancellor, sir, started with the demographic dividend which India possesses, and pointed out how exactly to turn this disadvantage turn this problem, turn this lockdown into some kind of a competitive advantage. He pointed out two major verticals. One, empowering ourselves through the skill sets and leveraging technology, internet-based facilities, and other advances to the maximum extent which we can do. And the second was his stress on home-based entrepreneurship and small businesses. And he also stressed small businesses in relation to cloud computing. He also pointed out the other avenues which we can explore using the internet and the web, including the virtual assistantship, online tutoring, social media management, content writing, using YouTube channels, and a host of other applications. And as Vice Chancellor Sir pointed out, MAKAUT is strongly pushing along these lines. On the one hand, it is trying to inculcate all these skill sets into its students. On the other hand, it is already set up the entrepreneurship cell where these small businesses are being actively promoted. So thank you, sir, for your enlightening observations. And our next speaker is Mr. TVS Shenoy. Welcome, Mr. Shenoy. Mr. Shenoy, TVS Shenoy, is the Chief of New Materials Business at Tata Steel. An engineer and MBA by training, Mr. Shenoy has more than 22 years of experience in Tata Steel. Prior to becoming the Chief of the New Materials Business Division, he was Chief of Marketing and Sales of Ferro Alloys and Minerals, and also Chief of Agro and Retail Industries, Head of Marketing Tubes, Strategic Business Unit. So I would now hand over the floor to Mr. TVS Shenoy for his presentation. Welcome, Mr. Shenoy.
Thank you, Professor Mukherjee. Just a quick check. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can all hear you.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful and good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and pleasure to be with MAKAUT. Professor Maitra, what a wonderful starting to the session which you had, giving a host range of opportunities for the next generation whom we dearly love and who need to create a career for themselves. But what I will be discussing has got nothing to do with the careers. And I've also got with me Sunil from Keventer and Anirban from Tanishq. And what I will try to do over the next 10 minutes. So in general, how much time do we have?
Sir, you can go from 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
No issues, sir. 10 to 15 minutes. Please.
I'll try to do a time check as well. So in terms of ensuring that our panelists have adequate time.
Yes.
But before I really step into my chat, first of all, I wanted to, the lockdown of the last 100 days has taught me one thing, and that is gratitude. Gratitude to the society and gratitude for having work. So when we say working through the lockdown, one of the fundamental assumptions is you have got work. And perhaps you have work which would go through the lockdown. So imagine India, 1,300 odd million people, 400 odd million families, maybe only 30% of them have a cell smartphone, 30%. So you, the people who are connected and hearing or seeing this webinar, are perhaps the 25 or 30% of the privileged few in India who are able to go through the lockdown. There are a significant amount of people impacted. So this moment of time, I think we need to pay gratitude to all the people who enable us to be here, our housemates, our drivers, our milkmen, the newspaper wala, the kirana wala, all those people who have been enabling. So remember, when we have an issue like this, there are bigger challenges which live outside. So a sense of gratitude, I'm sure, should reside in each one of us as we go ahead in life. My experience is based on three elements, and I also happen to be the Vice President of the Calcutta Management Association, and I get to speak to a lot of corporates in the industry, and my take is like this. So during the lockdown had three sets of companies or three sets of businesses. One set of the businesses was like an IT, who are already prepared for it. So they used to work couple of days a week already from home. So there was an economy, there was a setup which was already prepared for it. And so this entire set of industry, which are already doing a party work from home, migrated fully to work from home. For them, transition was less painful. It was painful, but less painful. Now look at me, and I'm just looking at give an example of what a corporate could be. I spent 28 years in the steel company, marketing and sales, and this was a first absolute culture shock working from home. And I'm sure for the student community as well, who have been used to classroom classes and then suddenly switching to online courses, working from studying from home, is absolutely a culture shock. So it was a rude culture shock to me, and I speak for the corporates in this industry, and I'll tell you why and how we went about it. The third part which I found was very useful was for all the SME sectors, and there's a beautiful story which I would like to narrate to you later. So during the lockdown, and for people in the corporate world who were kind of stepping into it, they went into 3 distinct phases. So now we are close to the 100th day of the lockdown. We started somewhere in mid-March, and now we are close to here. We're close to 100 days of working through a lockdown. And I can sense 3 distinct phases, which I've seen it myself and also seen it applicable for most of the other industries. The first phase was all fun and experimentation. We enjoyed being at home. We enjoyed being with our loved and dear ones. What was work, what was not work. There was quite okayish. We could take a nap in the afternoon. We could enjoy a meal, cook a meal, etc. The first few days was all about fun. The second transition, or the second phase, was all about fixing it right. When we thought, well, this is going to be serious business. This is going to be the way of life. And then we thought, well, then all of a sudden the companies started getting the IT backbone right. Fortunately, companies like us, we had a very strong security system of our laptops, very strong IT infrastructure. We had fortunately had good connectivity in terms of our Wi-Fi, our cable. So getting the IT infrastructure right was essential. And companies who have been able to have a strong, robust, security-proof IT platforms were the ones who sailed through this transition. So if you are not prepared for it well, you would have been in deep, deep trouble. So I think many companies prepared for it well, inadvertently, having a very strong, robust IT infrastructure. That, to my mind, is a backbone of having to work seamlessly from home. The other part of getting it was significant amount of meetings on webinars, on Teams, on Zoom. So meetings became more and more formal, more and more through the net, but meetings were there. And 2 distinct lines which you always heard as you started off: can you hear me, or can you see my screen? If you actually Google it and see that these were the 2 most told sentences in the past 90 days. And every day, that's the question which you always ask. And you, next time, for all the people who are in the webinar, when you hear it and you remember this, where you said, hey, can you hear me? And then you said, no, the voice is not so good, your sound is loud, and blah, 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 blah. So there are 2 little distinct sentences, which is fun. So that told it all. So people who had built a good IT infrastructure system were able to get it done. Along with that, significant amount of webinar etiquette. And what does a webinar etiquette mean? Or how do you work from home in terms of conducting meetings? I'll kind of explain shortly. Well, the third phase. The first phase, as I said, was fun. The second phase was getting it right. And now it was serious business. And then third phase, which we're going through currently as I feel, the line started blurring between what was home and what was work. Everything got jumbled together. I still don't know whether I'm at home now or I'm work, because now it started playing on my mind. And everybody says, oh, even if it's 10 in the night, you're working. It's 6 in the morning, you're working. So lines have started getting blurred. And it started causing significant tension unknowingly or knowingly, there is stress building up. Every time you get up, you feel you could leave when you are working in the office, you could leave your office and come home. But when you work home, you cannot leave office. So the lines started getting blurred. People were getting stressed. Psychologically, people are getting more stressed. And when you're all alone at home, dispersed teams, you're not able to feel. And most of the time, HR is all about touch and feel. So as corporates, we all started getting mental fatigue. And how does one overcome the mental fatigue is something, a significant challenge, which can, if not handled well, can lead to not so happy consequences. Let me tell you a few little things which I've seen companies do, as some of my colleagues from different multinational banks, MNCs, etc. They've enabled employees to get ergonomical chairs. Backaches started happening. People were not able to, when you sit through 24, almost 8 to 10 hours a day, the companies who started giving chairs to home. Can you imagine? They're delivering chairs to home. People started telling you have to take leave, compulsory leave. Imagine you're working from home, nothing doing, you take leave, but you don't come, you don't. What do you say to somebody? You have to take leave, you're not coming to office, you're working from it to take leave. It's become that critical because it is important for somebody to disengage, break away, and for people in the corporate world, for us who have seen it and live the dream of being a corporate, very tough to break it away. But there had to have some nuances which needs to be done there. And I don't know if Sunil, you're there. Sunil, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
Sunil, and I must tell you a beautiful story about Keventer. You would not know about this, but I must tell you this beautiful story. And this is all about customer passion and irrespective of lockdown or no lockdown, I must tell you all a story. My daughter and me loved the Keventer's aloo parathas and loved Malabar parathas. And I must strongly recommend to all of you all who are there. We were accidentally searching for it, and it is a wonderful frozen parathas which we wanted.
Thank you.
One day when we wanted it, we went to Swiggy and we searched for the Swiggy Genie for delivery. It said not in stock. But there was something which me and my daughter loved it so much. We said, nothing doing, we have to get it. And we rang your office, Sunil. You'll be surprised. There was Darban who picked up. I don't know who it was. He said, साहब आज तो अब तक मिला नहीं, स्टॉक में अपलोड नहीं होगा, मैं चेक करके बताता हूँ. And believe me, he called me after an hour and said, sir, abhi available hai and you can take it in stock. These small elements of customer passion will remain undeterred, irrespective of lockdown or not lockdown. That day, I felt so proud of our own country. I said, wow, see how passionate it is. The DNA must be there. And I didn't know, and I keep repeating the stories to many of my colleagues. It's something in the DNA of the company which will able to take you through the tough times. That leads me to what I say as 5 lockdown sutras or 5 lockdown rules, which I have kind of developed. It could be something which you all will find it useful, but I find these are the 5 important elements when you work through a lockdown for all people, the corporate, for the entrepreneurs, for the student community. There might be a few little takeaways for you all. The first, lockdown or no lockdown, be a morning person. We tend, and I have seen it myself, I've been guilty many a time of getting up at 8, 9 in the morning, knowing that I can always have the first meeting at 10:30 or 10. Be a morning person and dress for success. I have been guilty in the first few days, few months of actually wearing my shorts and t-shirts and sitting through meetings. And it's quite but natural. But then the minute you wear a formal, at least you wear a jeans and a formal shirt, your mind starts working like an office. So small little things, it works mentally and physically. Dress for work, dress for success, get up in the morning. So first rule number 1 is, that's what I feel could be useful. Second, during this lockdown, which I felt, and I spoke to many of my colleagues from different companies, communication becomes key. When everybody is all alone, separate teams, but all trying to form a goal, everybody is unsure of about himself. Boss मेरे बारे में क्या सोच रहा होगा? मेरे colleagues क्या सोच रहे होंगे? Am I doing good? If I'm not being praised, am I not being praised enough? Small things which in a common meeting, in an office space, you can put your arm around the shoulder of a guy, but here you cannot. The second point which I wanted to set is set expectations with the colleagues, with the bosses, communicate more often. Even it means a 5-minute call or a 10-minute call. You might have diverse teams. Ensure that you try to communicate. I've seen people break down mentally. Some people are very good speakers. They obviously call you up, but some are not. Some are all individuals. Some are aloof. Some don't get along well in teams, but with brilliant performers. But for those people, watch out. I think as colleagues, as bosses, we need to take special care of them. Because during this time of stress, during this time of tension, during this time when one is all alone, you never know what stupid mistakes some people can do being all alone and depressed. Ensure that we have enough communications lines going. Set expectations well. That was my second rule, which I thought. The third, and I think this is what Professor Saikat Maitra also mentioned, be a digital native. You have to be enabled digitally. You have to be savvy. And you have to know the nuances of handling. Right now, I'm conducting this webinar on my mobile because my office laptop does not allow me to connect through Zoom. So all of a sudden, we have to have options. So I guess in this point of time, you have to be a digital native person. How do you handle webinars? How do you do webinar etiquette? When do you say no or yes? And how do you put a point across? There's so many important things I think is useful for somebody to pick up the skills. I must tell you one very interesting anecdote. 3 weeks ago, we are having one of the meetings going on in our company, and then there was somebody who was having that meeting done without his top. He was sitting in his shorts, and all of a sudden his camera came on, and then he was there like that. So you can imagine you have to know your webinar etiquette and how you kind of do it. The fourth point is important is to have breaks at home. Even though you're working 24 hours and almost non-stop, take breaks at home. A coffee break in between, a tea break in between will be very, very useful to have a monotony kind of break. It'll be useful for you as an individual to also ensure that you're charged up kind of enough here. And point number 5, try to make a work and home balance. You need to know when to switch off. You need to know when to switch on. Try to make work at home as you are doing in office. Try to keep your weekends private to you and the family. Very tough to do. And the minute you draw your lines, I think it becomes easier for one to work in the corporate world in working from home in a way which you all love. I also heard Professor Maitra speak about various options here. And my parting thought to everybody in this who is in this webinar is, don't let this work from home ever minimize your passion. Keep chasing your passion, whether it is work from home or work from office. Don't let your passion let go. Never let go your passion. Chase it. I'm sure there will be ways. Professor Maitra did mention about various options which you could do in terms of enabling a career, but chase the passion. Don't let your passion die away because of this challenging situation, and you'll be getting a great balance between work and home. Those are my few thoughts on working through a lockdown, and it's over to you, Professor Sunil. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shenoy. All I can say after Mr. Shenoy finished giving his talk is that he finished by saying, don't give up your passion. He was absolutely passionate in his speech. He opened with conveying his sense of gratitude, and through that trickled in the sense of empathy which he showed. Thank you, sir, for sharing with us. He described very eloquently the three types of phases through which we went through, namely the phase one, when it was kind of a light mood for us, it was fun for us, it was a holiday for us. Phase two, when we were engaged in fixing up the necessary infrastructure to start seriously working from home, notably the IT infrastructure. And phase three, when the line has become blurred between work and office and home. And I think he beautifully tagged to that the fact in his mantra number 5 that we need to maintain a work-life balance. I think this is extremely well said and well thought of, sir, because it is extremely important to maintain that balance so that we can give our best in our workplace. And another thing which Mr. Shenoy mentioned among his mantras was that we need to take breaks and we need to communicate with people, because in these phase of days of lockdown, it's been 100 days of lockdown, it is essential to keep our mental well-being. And let me communicate this to every one of you panelists, sir, and with the participants, that our university is engaged in this exercise also. We have conducted a few webinars on the well-being, and also we are constantly using the services of professional psychological counselors to boost up the sagging morale of our students and other stakeholders. So thank you, Mr. Shenoy, for this very, what I must say, it was a heartfelt talk from you. Our next speaker on the panel is Mr. Sunil Kajaria. Mr. Sunil Kajaria is the CEO of Keventer. Earlier on, he was president, and before that, the vice president of strategy in Keventer Agro Limited. We are extremely lucky to have you with us, sir. Welcome to our webinar. Mr. Sunil Kajaria is an alumnus of St. Xavier's School, and he had also studied economics, finance, and entrepreneurial management in the Wharton School. So welcome to this webinar, and over to Mr. Sunil Kajaria.
So good evening, everybody. Many thanks to the Azad University of Technology for organizing this webinar on the subject working through the lockdown. I'm also thankful to the CMA and our president, Mr. Tata, and also the CMA Secretariat, led by Mr. Barua, for taking the lead and organizing this special event. At the outset, I feel extremely privileged to participate in the webinar, along with stalwarts like Mr. Shenoy, Mr. Banerjee, and Professor Maitra. Already, I feel that I've learned a lot listening to these two gentlemen, and a lot of wisdom has already reached, so it is a great experience being here. Let me start off by giving you a brief introduction about the company that I work for, Keventer Agro. Some of you might know of us as the Fruity Company. So we make fruity and appy for markets all over Eastern India. So I think we're very well known and very popular with children. But we are actually also Eastern India's second largest dairy company. And we are also active in food, beverage, in bananas and frozen foods. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the challenges faced by our company since the lockdown began, and what are some of the opportunities which have been thrown up subsequently. So the first stage of disruption that we really faced was immediately when the lockdown was imposed around, say, end March 2020, was the disruption to the entire supply chain. So the entire movement of raw materials, packaging materials, chemicals, inks, machine parts, all went for a toss. And the next 15-20 days was a mad scramble to actually get everything into shape. You know, as a dairy company, we keep packaging material for only about 15 or 16 days. And there were a number of products for which we almost ran out of packaging material immediately. So it was a mad scramble for the first 15-20 days to get manufacturing back in shape. Luckily, with the help of the government and the local administration, we were able to do that quite successfully. So that has been one of the challenges which have been relatively easy to manage as far as the lockdown was concerned. The second major challenge, which has really taken a lot of our time, has been the challenge to the distribution. For example, there is a total inability on the part of retailers to reach local markets due to a lack of public transportation. If I give you an example from our banana business, in normal circumstances, Calcutta had more than 5,000 standalone banana vendors. Today, that number stands at only 1,500. So the volumes of bananas, which was at 160, 170 tons a day, is now at 80 tons a day. There were also challenges, or continue to be, for retailers to be able to sell their products because of limited time frames. So you have retailers who can only work from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. I think the rules have changed a little bit now, but in the beginning of the lockdown, that's what the situation was like. And what is also significant is that there has been a slowdown in the purchasing power in the hands of consumers. And in certain sections, for example, in the dairy industry, tea vendors account for almost 30% of our sales. And that is one segment which has completely gone out of business. Even after the relaxations, tea vendors are not really consuming anywhere close to the amounts of dairy products that they were using earlier. So, as managers, it is relatively easy to find solutions for problems like the supply chain and logistics. But managing a demand destruction at the market level is something which is proving to be a big challenge for us as well. But it's not all gloom and doom. There are a number of opportunities which have been thrown up. I think the first and foremost thing is that it has become all about speed. How fast can you fulfill customer requirements? So we are seeing that a number of FMCG companies are going direct to consumer with a vengeance. For example, I want to thank Mr. Shenoy for just bringing up the work that we're doing with Swiggy and Zomato. Our entire portfolio of products is now available on these two platforms, and they guarantee a 30-minute delivery. So the future, I think, is going to be very different from the general distribution channel that we have so far used, of a product moving from a company to a distributor, to a retailer, to the consumer. It is now reaching from the company to the consumer in 30 minutes flat. And that is something that we, as the companies and students, should all imbibe in their thought process, that whatever you do, it has to be about speed. Secondly, we are also seeing that consumers are not willing to compromise at all on brands and quality. If anything, during the lockdown, discounts have come down on most products. I'm talking about proper FMCG products, not only across the channel. So that is why it is imperative for companies to maintain their presence in the minds of consumers, preferably by leveraging digital channels, but also by using traditional media. The third thing that I want to talk about really as an opportunity, and I think this has been very well addressed by Professor Maitra, is the importance of e-commerce accelerating from here onwards. Perhaps this is not the best time, but I've actually done a little bit of research about where India is on the e-commerce platforms and where China is. And I'll share these statistics for you just to give you an example of where we are and what we can be doing. So the Indian digital penetration is about 41% at the moment. In China, it is 59%. Our e-commerce value is $40 billion. In China, it has reached $1.5 trillion. Our share of online trade to total retail is 3%. In China, it is 25%. And significantly, during their lockdown, they have seen a 30% increase in the number of old consumers above the age of 45 engaging in e-commerce for the very first time. And tier 3 cities are seeing 70% growth. I am 100% confident that going forward, we in India will also see a similar trend in e-commerce growth as well. Therefore, I think students should keep that in mind and try to become a lot more conversant with the e-commerce technologies, with web technologies, cloud computing, because that is definitely the way forward. So in conclusion, as the lockdown eases and the nation gets back on its feet, we in the food and beverage companies are seeing that we should be able to bounce back a lot faster than most industries. And there are tremendous amount of opportunities available for companies which can exhibit speed in terms of reaching consumers, companies which can expand their digital reach, companies which can provide e-commerce solution to their customers, and which can maintain brand salience and brand relevance in these difficult times. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sunil Kajaria, for your reflections and thoughts. What Mr. Kajaria said was there were problems on the supply side, like problem in the disruption of the supply chain and the problems with distribution, which were overcome. And he also pointed out the problems on the demand side because of the lockdown, and gradually what the companies should do to overcome these challenges. One thing that is getting distilled out from all the different discussions, what our Honorable Vice Chancellor said, Mr. Shenoy said, and Mr. Kajaria said, is that we must go the digital way in a big way. We must go the digital way the whole hog. We must try to leverage the power of e-commerce, digital marketing, and embrace digital technology tools and techniques to the maximum extent possible if we are to make sure that we do not suffer from this lockdown, rather we can move forward in a more positive manner. And remaining positive and using technology perhaps the key to moving out of this lockdown unscathed and also more stronger. So thank you, Mr. Kajaria, for sharing your experiences, particularly pointing out that how the companies must work hard to pick up speed. Speed is the essence, you pointed out, and how companies must not compromise on their brand or their quality control in order to satisfy the more conscious, more tech-savvy customers. Thank you for sharing. And I may point out here that our university is also trying to introduce these courses under the guidance of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, in digital marketing, in e-commerce and other digital verticals, so that students who are the future of tomorrow, who will be the leaders of tomorrow, can be exposed to these technologies and they can use these to the best extent. Our next speaker for the evening is Mr. Anirban Banerjee. He is the Regional Business Manager of Tanishq. Welcome, Mr. Banerjee, and a formal management graduate from Vishwabharati University. Mr. Banerjee has been with Titan Industries Limited for a long time. He was area business manager between 2003 and 9 and became the regional business manager from 2009. So I'm sure that Mr. Banerjee will add a lot of value to this webinar. Welcome, Mr. Banerjee.
Thank you, Professor Mukherjee. I'm really delighted to be a part of this esteemed panel comprising of Professor Maitra, Mr. Shenoy, and Mr. Kajaria. When this topic was given to me, I realized that yes, we are in a crisis situation, and that's why this topic is all about. And crisis sometimes demands boldness and learning. So when we started this lockdown, and as everybody said, 100-day almost a lockdown, retailing and lockdown doesn't go actually hand in hand. So when we started saying that we'll be working from home or work from home, some of my friends from other industries made a joke saying that is it work from home or work for home? So we also realized that yes, I mean retailing and how it goes. But then during the lockdown, I realized certain things, as Mr. Shenoy and Mr. Kajaria was also mentioning. So my discovery in those 100 days was R4 or 4 R's. One is reflection. The other is reinvent. The third is reimagine. And the fourth is rejuvenate. So let me take you through that, how it worked out. So Tanishq is purely a retailing company. We retail. We have retailing stores. People come here and purchase. So in this point of time, the most important thing is that, and we have, as we were mentioning, we have diversified teams, large teams spread across the regions, across the country. So the biggest challenge was that how do you engage your teams? Now, when you talk about engaging teams, the most important thing is that how do you maintain the positivity within your team? Because we are not meeting face to face, and they are across, and it is only a call or a web call. So the most important thing is that when you say a positivity, the challenge was that how do you maintain your own energy and how do you maintain your team's energy? So if I have to talk about us as a team, so we ensured that we were connecting almost, if not daily, but at least twice or thrice in a week at various levels, maybe in a web call or maybe on a phone call. So the connectivity was highly there across the teams and down the line to the store team. So the entire system was connected through this period. It is also important that during this period, how do you energize yourself? So the energize, what we were doing, we were sometimes, small things like we were having a game show or an antashari, something on music. So there were multiple connects which were happening, which was re-energizing ourselves. The other most important thing during this period of engagement is that how do you actually become creative? So you have to be more creative. You have to focus on solutions because obviously everywhere there is a problem. So finally, if you're not focusing on solutions, then obviously you have to keep an eye on the end game, because if you're not keeping an eye on the end game, finally we know when the business starts opening up, you have a tough challenge, you have a tough days to face. So it was the first part is the engaging the teams, and that was one of my biggest reflection, that how do you actually keep the team together under that crisis situation. The second part is of course on the partner connect. We have a lot of business associates across the system, and majority of our stores are being run by business associates. So we ensure that we are in touch with them at certain frequency. Obviously, when you are talking to them, you can't talk about business because the stores are closed. What do you talk about business? But when you're talking to them, it's also, as I started with, if you remember, on boldness and learning, you learn a lot of things because they, as associates, are also partners for multiple other companies or other brands. So when you talk to them, you understand about the market, about the customer sentiments, about what other companies are doing. So in the process, you are also gaining a lot of knowledge about the industry, about other industries, other companies. So this partner connect was something which we were continuously focused on. The third most important thing for us is customer. I mean, of course, customer comes first, but in the scheme of thoughts currently, I'm saying. Now, when you talk about customers, during this period, we have spent massive time on understanding the customer insights, how the customer is going to behave once lockdown starts opening up. How do we connect with our customers? So I'll give you a couple of examples of how we connected with our customers. So again, coming back to the same thing, retailing company and connect, it was mostly face-to-face connect. So they will be coming to the store, our retail team will connect with them, and that's how the relationship and everything happens. Now here we are talking about a situation where everybody's at home, but still we want the connect, because as a company, we are a part of the Tata company, we mean empathy, we mean relationship. So it was something, a challenging time for us initially when we started with. Then what the team started doing, we started calling up the customers, but it was purely an empathy call. So one also need to realize that where you actually draw the line between business and relationship. We talk about relationship in a normal period, but this was actually the time to demonstrate it. So the team took up that part very, very positively and very well. We connected with almost all our customers, and just an empathy call, how are you, hope everything is fine or safe. So this actually adds to the bonding or the relationship we talk about. Similarly, on the connect part, the other part I'm not going to say. On the connect part, what happens when the stores are operating, we see that many customers do come to our stores, and we have a lot of engagement programs. And during this period, so we have things like Poila Boishakh, we have Akshaya Tritiya, Mother's Day, multiple things we do in the store. And these are in retail format, this is also a connect with the customers. We need to get connected with the customers. So it is just not the business, it is also the relationship which I spoke about. So first time, we also spoke about digital in this platform. Just now, all the speakers spoke about digital. So we realized that how can we use digital to connect to the customers? So we actually had digital concerts with the customers. So customers actually performed. They performed, they uploaded the video, and finally we played the video with a massive gathering of 300, 350 customers type. So this is how we kept connecting with the customers, and customers appreciated it, that when nothing is moving, because they are also sitting at home, their energy levels are also down. But here there's a brand which is trying to come forward and try to connect with them digitally maybe, but finally we are celebrating certain success, certain occasions. The other thing which was very important from the point of view for us was the safety concerns of our teams. Since people come from across the region and we knew the stores are going to open, so during this entire lockdown period, we were continuously discussing amongst ourselves that when we open the store, how do we ensure that the stores are safe, the people are safe, the customers are safe? Because safety is one of the most critical element of the business. Because here we are a B2C company. We are meeting customers. We are outsiders. We are meeting people whom we may not even know. So during this entire period, the entire team, spent a lot of time on creating the safety things. All this for what? It is basically to ensure, to plan, to leapfrog ahead. That when we start opening the business, we should be prepared. We should not be, in such a tight corner that we are not ready. As Mr. Shenoy was mentioning, that Tata Steel was absolutely ready on IT and technology and everything. So that's exactly from a retailing parallel. It is important that when you open the store, are we ready to face the customers? Are our people ready to face the customers? Are they confident to face the customers? I think those were something on the mental part which is a very challenging, because we are talking about human psychology. We are playing on the human psychology. The other part is, of course, what we did during this period is that we also wanted to reinvent the business way. Because typically we know that the customer insights or the way the customer is going to behave, things are going to change. And our earlier speakers also spoke about it, that digital, China's thing about percentage people getting into that online space. So we realized that this is going to be the new way forward, and people may not like to come immediately out for shopping, but we have to still do the business. We have to still run the business. So one of our most, I would say, auspicious moment in the jewelry industry buying is Akshaya Tritiya and Poila Boishakh. Typically, all our stores at that point of time were closed. We have around 340 stores, all were closed. So we had two choices. One choice, we can just keep quiet and say, yes, we lost an opportunity and then next year we will see. The other thing, as Mr. Kajaria said, how do you identify that opportunity? So we actually decided to go a digital Akshaya Tritiya, in e-Akshaya Tritiya. It's not that we were not in that online space. We were on the online space, but online space contributes absolutely minuscule compared to the larger business, because it's predominantly a brick and mortar business what we do. But during this Akshaya Tritiya, the entire team, the entire ecosystem of the Tanishq, they diverted from the so-called mentality of brick and mortar to the e-Akshaya Tritiya, and it became a super success. So it is also important to sometimes to identify these opportunities and reinvent the business cycle. We are today talking about digital, very strong. A lot of trainings are being imparted to the team, because obviously, when we are talking about a team and they all don't belong to, say, a Calcutta, some may be sitting in a Jharsuguda, some may be sitting in a Hajipur. So there are multiple places. So when you are talking of multiple locations, you have to bring them onto the same page. It's a big challenge, because here you are dealing maybe with 1,300, 1,400 people. And the bringing them to the same platform, making them to understand the importance of digital. The people who were just 100 days back was only selling just gold across the counter, to make them understand that this is the new way of life. The other thing, from the understanding, we also realized that many aged customers may not come to the store. So these are all the insights we started getting out of it, that if the aged customer don't come to the store, and highly possible, because government is telling more than 65 years should not venture out. So many people are scared, and our set of customers are pretty knowledgeable. So we actually got into a video calling, where we are actually calling the customer, showing the product through video, and making the product build through RTGS, and the customers just come to the store and pick up the product. So these are all the new things which we have learned during this period. So one thing is that, yes, we can sit back and we can wait for the stores to open and then we see what happens. The other thing, as a business, as a operational team, as a strategy, can we think that what is going to be the new way of working? So net, if I have to say that during this lockdown period, the biggest learning is that, we have to start thinking differently. We have to change ourselves. If we start changing ourselves, the entire ecosystem will change. So if we restrict ourselves to that old format, which I've been in this company for the last 17 years. So if I say that in the last 17 years, the way I have seen Tanishq working, I'm not going to change in 17 weeks, then I'm wrong. Because I know the next 17 months may be totally different from what I've seen last 17 years. So it is very important, actually, you need to be the change agent. If you are a change agent, and in today's changing scenarios, it's a very dynamic scenario. We don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. Today we are all open, all the stores are open. Tomorrow something may get closed. So whatever max potential we have to maximize it today. Understand new ways of doing things, innovate things, reimagine. We have to reimagine all the processes what we have. So I think that's it from my side. And as the people who are on the call, the young managers who are going to be the managers, I think that biggest learning was that. But I think I totally agree with Mr. Shenoy that most important is that work-life balance. And in some point of time, we realized that working from home was actually that line was slowly going away. We are on call sometimes, even on a Saturday, Sunday. I think this is very important that, we have to balance this work-life balance, because once everything starts opening it up, this is going to still stay with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anirban Banerjee, for a very enlightening discussion in respect of B2C business and the retail business in particular. Mr. Banerjee talked about the 4 R's: reflection, reinvention, reimagination, and rejuvenation. Excellent. He talked a great deal about engaging the team and keeping the team spirit up, how to maintain strong positivity in the team. That is something I think all of us are looking at and we are trying to do. He talked about connecting with the business partners and the business associates. Most significantly, he talked about the empathy call to his clients or customers. Mr. Shenoy also previously spoke about gratitude and compassion. Mr. Banerjee also spoke about it. So I think we are all on the same page regarding this. And finally, he also talked about the engagement programs with the customers, the e-Akshaya Tritiya, which he spoke about eloquently, and the new ways of engaging with customers, like making video calls to the customers. So what it comes down to essentially is with what our Honorable Vice Chancellor started this discussion, that we must embrace the digital way of conducting ourselves, including doing business, in a very, very organized fashion. So I think that has come out as a kind of an upshot from our discussion so far. All the eminent 4 panelists have worked on this skill. What I can summarize is that today, probably we need to think about innovation and about agile ways of doing business, not only business. For us who are in the academics, we need to find out new ways of reaching out to the student community, to the teaching community, to all the stakeholders in academics, and similarly in industry. And also, we must focus, we must address the issue of change management in a very, very strong way. So thank you to all of you. I think the session was conducted, the speakers spoke so eloquently that we do not have too many questions here. I do not see too many questions here. So I think the participants have been pretty satisfied with ongoing deliberations. I would like to thank once again all the participants who have participated in this webinar today, and my thanks to the 4 eminent panelists, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Saikat, Mr. TVS Shenoy, Mr. Sunil Kajaria, and Mr. Anirban Banerjee. Mr. Amitabh Datta, President, Calcutta Management Association, was scheduled to join us for this webinar, but I think because of certain technical issues, Mr. Amitabh Datta could not make it. So, with kind permission of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, I may request Mr. T.V.S. Shenoy, who is the Vice President of Calcutta Management Association, to formally propose the vote of thanks for this webinar.
Well, thank you, Dr. Indra Mukherjee, for this session. I think I thoroughly enjoyed and cherished every moment of it. Thank you, MAKAUT. And I think Professor Maitra, I still remember the first meeting we had on a Saturday or Sunday evening, and the way you had conceptualized how the way ahead you wanted to do. It means a lot to the student community for sure, and I hope this has been useful in some way or other to each of them. Even if there's one or two takeaways, and I would leave it to the audience, if there's one or two takeaways for you, please write it down and try to imbibe it. It'll make life wonderfully well for each of you. Again, Sunil, thank you for a wonderful session again. I'm a big fan of Keventer's. I still remember when I saw the retailing of bananas right at Alipur State Bank where I stay. I was amazed by the innovation which you all do, and that followed with my frozen paratha example. I think Keventer is a long way to go, and you'll be a brand which I think I'll cherish all the way when you all go to the top. Thank you, Sunil, for a wonderful session as usual.
Thank you, sir.
Anirban, I'm a Titan fan as well, a Tanishq fan. I think you all have, well, what is it? Tata and Tanishq go together all the time. Thank you for this lovely session. For all the people, Tanishq, as somebody write, Tan and Ishq. I've seen somebody saying signed by Tan and in the chat box. Very interesting. Thank you for the lovely session as usual. And for all the people who are connected from the webinar, I hope you found it useful. Calcutta Management Association, again, is something which we all look forward to spreading what we call the profit the mind. Please feel free to join us, be a member, be a subscriber, and I'm sure you'll find something useful for you in your life, in your corporate journey as you get along. Thank you very much, and have a good night.
Thank you.
So we will take leave of you, but prior to that, I would request Mr. Prem Kumar to put the link for the participation certificate of today's webinar so that the participants can access the participation certificate. Mr. Prem Kumar, kindly display the link. I also request Mr. Manoj Ghosh of our team to help Mr. Prem Kumar in this process. So I would request all the participants to kindly note the links for the feedback form and the participation certificate. On behalf of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad University of Technology, I once again thank you all for joining the webinar and wish that we would have more such sessions in the days to come. So with kind permission of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, we are closing the webinar for the day.